مداخلة الرئيس المنتخب الفيدرالية الدولية للمنظمات الهندسية السيد Gong KE.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. At first, please allow me to deliver the message from UNESCO, who is written by Dr. Peggy Otti Barton, who could not come here in person, but he has delivered a message to us. And please allow me to read this message at first. It gives me great pleasure to welcome delegates to the Conference on Engineering and Food Security. It is being held in Tunis from 24th to 25th June 2019. This conference is addressing two important UN Sustainable Development Goals: freedom from hunger, Goal 2, and the sustainable consumption and production, Goal 12. The Division of Science Policy and Capacity Building at UNESCO works closely with the World Federation of Engineering Organizations, WFEO, as strategic partners in pursuing our mandate in engineering for sustainable development. And we are pleased that the Order of Tunisian Engineers, a national member of the Federation, is the organizer of this important event. Importantly, UNESCO is delighted that the conference will focus on some of the most important challenges facing the world, and especially Africa: food security and sustainable consumption and production. The conference will be an opportunity to discuss the new technologies and solutions that we are emerging rapidly in the area of food production and how these can be adapted in Africa to benefit millions. It is fitting that these discussions will bring together engineering experts from around the world discussing the latest technology developments and the solutions that are possible. My very best wishes to a successful conference. UNESCO Division for Science Policy and Capacity Building in the natural science sector looks forward to the outcomes of your discussions and the solutions that will lead to the advancement of the UN Sustainable Development Goals that assist millions in and for a better quality and sustainable life. Dr. Peggy Otti Barton, Director, Division of the Science Policy and Capacity Building, Natural Science Sector, UNESCO Headquarters, Paris, France. So that's the message from UNESCO. Now, please allow me to deliver our warm congratulations to the success of this conference on behalf of World Federation of Engineering Organizations, and also on behalf of the current president, Dr. Martin Konga. The World Federation of Engineering Organizations is an international organization for the engineering profession, founded under the auspices of UNESCO in 1968, a partner of many UN organizations, and a co-host of the major group of scientific technological community in UN agendas. This federation consists of some 100 national engineering institutions, including the Order of Engineers of Tunisia, and 11 international engineering organizations, including the Federation of African Engineering Organization and the Federation of Arabian Engineering Federation. So we're presenting more than 70 million engineers around the world. And here you see some names of some members here all over the world. And the mission of this federation, next, is engineering a sustainable development. Here I try to use the 17 goals of the United Nations. That is our mission, to achieve these goals by 2030. And we have a lot of working committees and groups working on environment, energy, telecommunication, information, disaster, and so on and so forth. And I have to mention a very important committee on engineering capacity building is hosted by South African here in this continent, and also another very important committee, anti-corruption, which is founded by Kamal Ayadi when he was the president of the WFEO, and now is hosted by Zimbabwe. So we have a strategic plan we call Engineering 2030. And this plan is focusing on engineering capacity building because I think that is a common theme for the engineering world to meet the requirement of sustainable development. And here I show you some activities of WFEO in Africa. Next slide. Among them, most important one is the UNESCO Africa Engineering Week. This year, this week, will be held in December in Zambia. So engineering is a key for achieving sustainable development goals. As said by the Secretary General of the United States, Engineer Guterres, he said in the message to the Global Engineering Congress last year in London, it says, we strive on achieve the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, the world blueprint for building a future of peace and prosperity for all and on a healthy planet. Every one of the goals requires solutions rooted in science, technology, and engineering. So engineering is a key for sustainable development. But we have to point out that there is a significant shortage of engineers in Africa. Here I show you some UNESCO data. That's a data a few years ago. It shows you on the average in the current world, for 10,000 population, there are in average around 5 engineers for the whole world on average. But for those industrial countries, there are 20 to 50 engineers and scientists per 10,000 population. But here in Sub-Saharan African countries, there are only 1 or even less engineer to 10,000 population. There's an urgent need to increase the number of qualified engineers to enhance the engineering capacity in African countries. Here you see another picture. The blue one is the percentage of the engineering students in the social education. That's, you see the very lower number, around 20% of total students learning engineering and scientists here in African countries. That means we are lack of future engineers in this continent. And it is reported the qualified graduates of engineering education from university, they leave African continent to Europe and other countries. So we have to increase the engineers' position, social position, their income here in this country to attract these talented young people to serve our African sustainable development. And that even worse, if you talk about women in engineers, here you see the dark brown colored countries. They are the countries with less women engineering students. Here you see most of them, except some Asian countries, is in this continent, Africa. All of these told us there is an urgent need to enhance engineering capacity in Africa. The strategic policy for development is based on its human capital and natural resources. We could not change the natural resources, but we can change the capacity of human capital. So the human capacity building has to be linked to the strategy and the plans of a nation and policymakers. African nations need strong policy to enhance engineering capacity for economical, social development. At first, I believe to increase the number of qualified engineers and to improve the engineers' social profile to make strong engineering organizations. So today's topic, food security, is vitally important for the sustainable development of the world and for this continent. Engineering is still the key for the food security. Here, because of the limited time, I just give you some examples we have made in China. You know, China is a very poor country. 40 years ago, hunger in the whole country, we suffer. The number one problem is hunger. China has 8% of the world arable land, 6% of the water resources, but 21% of the population. So it's a big need for the food security in China. What we have done in the past 40 years is engineering innovation to improve the food security of our country and to make this country have a fast development in the past 40 years. Here I just give you a few examples what we have done for irrigation in China to increase the food production. Here, the first example is the irrigation with low pressure pipeline water conveyance. And this technology can save up to 30% of water compared with earthen canal. So here I show you the contact address and the name of the contact person for further information. So I know. And here is the second example, that's the canneling lining. So that is a good technology reducing the cost of engineering, maintenance, and management. The third example is solar photovoltaic pumping irrigation. That is a very flexible and movable system without personal management, automatic automation. The fourth one is the rainwater harvest system, and that is effective for poverty alleviation and rural development at household level. The fourth one is reclaimed water for irrigation, and that can reducing the fertilization and increasing crop yield. And the fifth example is sprinkler irrigation, and that can save the water more than 20% and saves the labor more than 80% and saves the land to 10% and increase the yield by 30%. And then micro-irrigation, integral control of irrigation water and fertilization. That is a combination we call fertigation. And water-saving irrigation technology for rice and improving the drainage water quality. All I show here totally 10 examples, and I give you the contact email address for further information. So I'm told there is an African proverb. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. The WFEO and its members are ready to go with all of you together, left no one behind, to explore the ways of engineering a sustainable world and planet with Africa as an integral and important part of it. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.